Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Ryan here, and welcome to the Champman Super League Season 8. It's round 1, and we've got some excellent fixtures here. And in a break from the norm, we haven't got Mr. Hopkins on core comms for night 1 of the Super League, as he's got work later this evening. Thought it'd be a bit harsh on him, but we do have someone just as good, I'm sure. And he's been telling me he's ready for tonight, and he's been doing all his research. So I'd like to welcome Kieran Collins. How you doing, Kieran?
Not too bad. How are you, Ryan? Hello, everyone. Hello, Super League fans from around the globe.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, it's been quite a short turnaround, hasn't it? Do you
Yeah,
mean it?
loving this. Loving this. It seems like a very frantic transfer window. A lot of people seem to have business done, but I think you were saying to a few people, a lot of people have used their 7 transfers for the year now, and who knows, they might get a little bit stuck.
Yeah, they might. The few names that happened in the draft, sorry, the auction earlier. Pinardi was the big money one that you brought in from Sloths, 15.5 million. Yondal Thomason going for big money to Gazelles. Maybe some strange names, but obviously the main transfers were all player for player exchanges. Anything that you caught your eye throughout the window?
I think there was loads of top quality moves, like seeing Zanoni there. We're up against him tonight for Hools. When he posted his team there, he's got an abundance of quality all over the pitch, really. So that's a really good move. It's really hard to pick just one, to be honest, or anything. Everyone seems to have found a pretty good squad and pretty like in all areas. So it should be an exciting year this year because the squads were very well on paper very even last year. So kind of with a couple of moves and people tweaking it to more in their image, it'll be interesting to see how we get on this season.
Right, yeah. I do think there's every team does have a chance. I'd just like to say good evening to everyone in the comms. I don't know if you can see the comms, but we've got Jamie's on before work, so evening Jamie. Martin, our co-chair, is here. Scott from I almost said Chudley Cannons then, but Scott from Bostock, Ian from Northern Burn, Steve Wright from Dudley Hill, Mr. Champ Mega Horse of the Swemp FA, Fifey's here, Jens is here, Rob's here, Alf's here, Dimble's here. Who else is here? Wooder, Duggan, Greavesy's here under the pseudonym of Le Champion, and we've got Potato Mourinho. We having this or what? I think we are.
Gang's all here.
Yeah, it's pretty much a full gang, even Hodgie, and Mr. Campbell as well of Haggis. I won't go through all the transfers as we probably here all night, but I will ask you about yours. Quick question about, I mean, you mentioned it pre-stream to me about the deal for Yakubu and Brett Emerton that you did with Dragons at the end of last season. A few people raised their eyebrows about that. Have you got any kind of response to the critics of that deal?
Yeah, I think people are just going on the player's name alone, and they might not have paid attention to his performances over the last year. Every time, or almost every time he was put in, he was almost a complete disaster. I tried hard to put him on the right, which arguably is his best position with Javier Zanetti, my best player all season there. But look, he was bang average for me. Yakubu, in my experience, and I know some people might have differing opinions, has been a top player. So getting a bit of steel in my defensive midfield position that can also play centre back was important. So I thought that deal was a good one for me. And look, it's not lost on me that I potentially could have got a better deal elsewhere, seeing some of the interest coming in. But we're happy enough with the business that we did there.
Fair enough. And you've brought a little bit of quality in there. A lot of people raise their eyebrows with you losing Aymar with the Kaladze and Elba deal with Boston, but bringing Totti in from Sloths is obviously, that adds that real bit of quality there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think we struggled creating chances last year. I think it was hard to judge our strikers anything because they were really living off scraps. So what we really focused on there was Elbers and Vasiliuk, I suppose. But we really tried to focus on beefing up our midfield with a bit of star quality. So getting a proven winner in Kaladze, is something that was really important to us. Gives us an option on the left as well. He's got top quality Totti for. Look, we had to lose Tomadira, who at the first half of last year was incredible, but he really fell off the boil, and maybe it's due to his young age at the start of the game, but we felt that Totti can really be the talisman that could kind of catapult us up the table. Sean Davis.
Did his what you call it, his performances last season, especially for Dudley Hill, did they not concern you that he may not be the Francesco Totti of legend, or do you think?
I thought he showed enough. Improvement with Spartak slots under the tutelage of Joe. Under the tutelage of Joe Palmer, that we can take him to the very next level and hopefully get his ratings and stats up to the 7.8 level. Davis, person we brought in from Byrne, again, I think he's a bit of an underrated player. You can see there, 14 games, 7.47 rating. Nothing to be scoffed at. Oliveira, a bit of backup there. I think we needed something different. Valeron, Pires, and probably one or two others that I'm forgetting didn't do the job for us last year. So we felt we just needed a bit of new blood. So look, we're really happy with our deal. It's a bit of a new look Churchtown. I think we've brought one or two guys in from the reserves, which were kind of out in the cold last year. So we're hopeful for a new season. We'll be pushing for that top 6 place.
Yeah, so that was the last question before I went on to the fixtures. That's the aim then, is to get back in the top 6 after a season out.
Yeah, 100%. It's as I was saying to you before pre-stream, it's hurting seeing the predictions putting us at 12, 13, 14. I think the highest prediction I saw was 8. So to be honest with you, fucking raging at that. So I want to see people put respect on our name again. So we'll be going for top 6 again, and we're confident that we can do so.
So you start off tonight against Schools. You kind of already alluded to that they've done some good business over the summer. Are you confident in that game? And is there any other games there that kind of caught your eye?
I think Boston Devils should be a great game. Some of the transfer business maybe on the Devils, I don't know if I would have fully agreed with.
He's not done much, has he?
Not done much, but he had a top team last year. A lot of players going out, but looking at them there, it's probably a lot of fringe players. We're still in negotiations, Fifey, by the way. I have my one incoming spot primed for an MC that I'm after. But I think that should be a really exciting game from two top teams. Hills have a really strong squad. They started off with a strong squad last year, and I think they've improved it. It'll be interesting seeing Dragons this year. Usually I think they're a load of wank, but I think with the 3 dicks ready to fuck the league, I'm really excited to see them, how they get on against Bostock.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the kind of Nazi Germany video. It's very good.
I only watched it this morning before going to work, and I was laughing at the table. It was brilliant.
Yeah, they've brought in 2 very big players there, in Davids and Lucio. I don't think they've lost too much really. I mean, by Bowyer you can kind of put a question mark.
I think
over,
he's got Mark Hare there in the middle, and I think for me anyway, I think Clarence Seedorf is a bit of, I don't know what's the word. Like you just kind of miss him in games. Like he's not a top player that you're kind of like, oh, Seedorf is my man. I think, especially getting Joe Cole in there as well. I think, look, he looks really strong all over the pitch. Although I did sell him a dud, Brett Emerson, though, so that's one thing he got fooled by.
Yeah. Okay then. So let's. Do you mean I'm very conscious of people always question me for waffling on and all that. So let's get into it. And I think we're just going to follow whatever order comes up on screen, just to kind of keep it a bit of randomness to it. Obviously, if it goes to Churchtown, we'll move that one to last, and we'll have a chance to have a proper look at the squads as we go. So first off, it's taken us to Kurdistan. It's actually in Scotland, this game, but it's the Sloths. Key business. They obviously sold Totti to yourself. They brought in Tom Madeira, Claudio Pizarro to kind of plug that gap. Dimitri Albertini's been brought in, I think starts tonight. This is the team he's gone for. Any surprises in there? Do you think he's looking stronger or weaker than last season?
Um, I don't know. I suppose I'll be honest. I think it's a weak enough looking team. I think Collins was his talisman last year. I think he's hopeful on a big season from Tom Madeira as well to kind of chip in with the goals. Although I think he's got good returns out of Rakoba in the past. I hope I'm not making that up, but I feel that's something kind of making it up.
Yeah.
Um,
He's missing.
but yeah,
He's
looking at
missing a few
Passato on
players
the
as well.
left.
He's missing,
Yeah,
say, Roberto Scali, Desai, Gamara. He had that raft of
yeah, it
suspensions at the end
seemed
of the
like a
season.
very weak team, and I mean that with the utmost of respect. If he had those other guys in there, I think it would be quite a strong team. But yeah, it's not bad. I think there's definitely goals there. Salahamidzic feels like a Palmer in spot as well. But yeah, I think Rob's got the best out of Collins, Rakoba. I think Albertini's a bit of a unsung hero in this game. I've had him on a couple of home saves, and he's as good as the best CMs out there, getting 15, 20 goals a year. So if you can get the right tune out of him, then I think he stands a good chance.
I'm not a fan, to be honest with you. Albertini and Kovac are the two which really strike me as being quite weak. Niko Kovac completely unfancied at Lokomotiv, kind of released on a free, as we kind of at the minimum price was 500k. Albertini, I believe, didn't kind of go for much of a deal with Bern. So yeah, I don't really share your confidence in Albertini, but we'll see what we get from Rob. Obviously, you always want to kind of upset the apple cart. Big
Yeah.
transfer business done in the summer by Haggis Hunters. I mean, there's all big names really. Rossini's former Super League top goal scorer. Riquelme, we know can be fantastic. Mike Duff prized away from Astor, and he's kind of plugged that gap up front that he kind of struggled with last season for Andrei Shevchenko. Obviously, no slouches in Cordoba and Radoy as well. Big kind of key departures: Brozek, Hoffland, Nedved, and Zinoni, as you alluded to at Hools. Let's have a quick look at how they line up. And yeah, is it completely different from last season? Is this going to be a new Haggis which is going to rip the league up, or is this going to be the same story?
I don't know. You look on paper, and it's an incredibly strong team. Kelme, Mendieta, Vieira seems like a really strong triangle there. It's still to be seen whether he can get the best out of Henrik Larsson in the AMC like we did 2 years ago. But look, he's got top players, Candela and Duff on the right and left, Shevchenko and Saha up top. It would have been nice to see Rossini get a start just to get some fresh blood in there, but he's obviously got faith in his man.
Yeah,
Look, that's
I mean, unfancied for a lot of last season, Saha, then straight in for the start of season 2, which raised a few eyebrows, I've no doubt.
definitely done a job in previous iterations of the Super League. Kind of unexpectedly, he will come in with a couple of goals, couple of vital goals. But yeah, no, look, on paper, I think it's hard to argue against the quality of this team. So this should be a really good game.
Too many arrows is what Greaves is saying, is what Martin's saying. Dudley Helsty Wright, who's obviously an expert in these things, and it's looking very nice. Let's move to the match screen and let's see if we can get some predictions in the chat. And I'll have a prediction from yourself if that's alright. Haggis Hunters at home to Sloths.
Sorry, I just missed that there, Ryan. Sorry.
Just after a prediction, mate, before we kick off season 8 with Haggis at home.
Haggis 2-0.
2-0, and that prediction shared by Mr. Edwards of Northern Burn. Mega Horse going for 3-0. Wood are going for a Haggis. It's a lot of people going for a Haggis victory at home. A draw in there from Alfbridge. Apart from that, I think everyone has gone for a home victory, even Rob. Rob obviously has just kind of been quite outspoken about people's predictions towards how his team will crack on. But it is what it is, I suppose, and it looks like it's Haggis that have started the quickest, but Salihamidzic and Guerrero involved. Guerrero had a great season last season, and I saw Madeira's name, and he obviously started well for you last year. Both teams look like they're creating chances. If I'm being honest, it looks like I'm thinking Sloth's having a little bit the better of it at the moment. So Madeira, Collins, Rakobo looked like he had a good chance there, but there's that man, Andrei Shevchenko. He's brought in from Astor to kind of get the goals, and he's got his first one after just 28 minutes. Larson also having a chance there. Does look like since the goal they've been on top though.
Ian be delighted with that goal going in. It takes the pressure off Shevchenko a bit.
But it doesn't take the pressure off Haggis and Julen Guerrero, who had an absolutely excellent season last year after coming in from the reserves of Spartak Loss after scoring 6 goals and 8. Has opened his account in the first game. Let's have a quick look at how those goals went in. It was a Mike Duff throw-in, and then it was a Shevchenko solo effort. And then it's Pesotto, we've questioned in before the game, who's come in and floated it near post, and Julen Guerrero with the header. Quick look at the stats. It's been relatively even, both 7 shots on target, 7 shots on and 6 to 4 on target. Action zones relatively level, with Haggis having more possession. Will Ian, considering all the predictions for a home victory, Kieran, will Ian be happy with that first half?
I think he'll be nervous about that first half. Loads of action both ends. It seemed like a really good, tense game. I imagine watching at home would be quite nervous. I think he'll be slightly disappointed with Candela's performance. He's normally a very consistent player, like usually good for a 7 or an 8. Saha not really getting on the ball. Shevchenko not getting on the ball. They don't seem to be getting it up to the top men quick enough, which seems weird considering they have had 7 shots. But as you can see there, they've been spread all over the pitch, which I suppose can be a good or a bad thing. They'd be a bit nervous after that first half. I think he would have wanted to keep that clean sheet, and conceding that goal before half-time certainly put a very different stamp on the game as a whole. Yeah,
not too many key passes. Mike Duff, the only one who's kind of taking the game to them in terms of creativity. He's gone for the substitute, as you thought he may have started with Rossini, but he's on at half time for Saha, who you said hadn't been involved in the game much. Solid at the back, considering that they've basically got some newbies in there, considering with all the suspensions and injuries. Julen Guerrero, his go-to man last season, continuing this season. Again, you think Rob will be happy, or do you think there's much to do for Rob?
I think with the injuries and suspensions they had before the game, I think Rob probably would have taken a point before this away from home against a really strong team on paper. But looking at the performance, I think he'll be looking at it thinking there's probably a lot more to come from this team. If I can get Albertini a bit better quality ball, get a few more key passes into him, if I can get my talisman David Collins on the ball a bit more, and if he can up his game a bit, that he's probably thinking the game is there for him in the second half. So it's really even. I've honestly no idea which way it's going to go. But yeah, Pesotto's come in. He's done really well. 2 key passes, 1 assist, and 8 in the first half. So he'll be delighted with that.
Looking, that's an incredible first half from Pesotto. I think it's his first Super League game since I've been involved in it. Definitely, I've never seen him before.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, he's keeping Pizarro on the bench. Obviously, no sort of changes at half time. The 86 and 89 kind of fitness not a concern. I'll kick off the second half and see where we go from here. The game obviously nicely poised, as I've just read from Mr. Edwards' tweet on Twitter still, in the chat, and it seems like it's starting off in the same vein. It's Haggis, then it's Sloths, then it's Haggis, then it's Sloths. It does look like there's
end
again.
to end, it seems.
Yeah, it does look like there's more red though for me, and I mean it's those names I keep seeing. It keeps being Collins and Guerrero and things like that. I'm assuming this is a straight swap for Ivan Helguera. I can't see really much else.
Yeah,
Stephen Reed could play there, I suppose, but I think he'd want him to kind of cover these positions. So, yeah, Helguera.
Yeah.
It's an injury for Radai, not what Ian would have wanted. It's kind of
seemed like there was a really strong defensive performance from Haggis there, just from having a peek at the ratings.
Yeah, and it looks like they're hanging on though, and this is probably not what Ian wanted. He was hoping to get off to a good start. Whoa!
Oh,
Alvaro Recova. has been sent off straight red. I think, given the situation, I'm probably likely to do that and continue it.
Agreed.
If Rob,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think there's much else you can do really, is there? Yep, nicely poised.
Tight last 10 minutes.
Yeah, you think Spartaks will sit back now? Ooh.
Oof.
It is the same old story for Spartaks lost. I saw I should have scored there towards the end.
Oh.
And Stuart Lockery, nice Scottish referee, might have sent off a player for Sloss, but he hasn't managed to get the result out. Only 16,000 in Scotland tonight. Obviously, the attendances drop after season one due to the what you can't do to the game. Shevchenko put it wide of goal, and it was a headbutt from Rikoba on Ivan Helguera. Not something that you kind of expect to see, but from Alvaro Rikoba, you've seen, but it's something that you definitely expect to see from Sloths. It's the same old story for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it will save Muppets like me from bullshitting about Rikoba being good for a couple of games anyway. But yeah, same old story with Slots. But I think from the balance of it, I think they'll take their point and run there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they had a few shots towards the end. I think the red card, I think it was 11-10 in Sloth's favour in terms of shots on goals. So Haggis have really peppered the goal at the end, but not managed to get through. Quite a lot of shots from both teams. The accuracy on the side of Haggis.
Yeah, I imagine Sloth's goalie got quite high ratings probably after that.
Rob Marshall, shove your predictions up your hoops, lads. Looking at Haggis there, looking at the individual player ratings, apart from Louis Starr, I think he'll be relatively happy with how his team is. He'll hope that Radoi's injury is not too serious. I'm kind of leaning towards what Fifey said, though. It's a better result you'd expect for Sloths away from home. Man of the match, Cristiano Abiati, who then Guerrero getting the goal, but Pesotto, Salahamovic have been absolutely key on the wings there with some lot of key passes, and Rick Orber has himself had a few key passes before the red card. You agree? Do you think that's probably Rob's the happier of the two bosses?
Yeah, probably, but it's hard to know because looking at, yes, I think Rob will, after the balance of play, I think Rob will be happier. I think getting the red card with around 10 minutes to go, he's got to be shitting himself there and thinking, oh fuck, Haggis are going to come score, even though it is Rakoba and he's up top, so it doesn't have a massive impact defensively. I think he still will be delighted just to get out of there with a point. Seeing Haggis's team on paper, I think he'll be delighted with the point. And look, it's a good performance. There's good couple of eights there. Obviously, the 6 on Rakobas probably wasn't that before he went off. He'll be disappointed with Collins getting off to a slow start, but I think he'll be happy getting out of there, especially when you have a look at the stats over at Haggis. I think they had a really strong performance. Like, if you put those stats on a 3-0 win, I don't think you'd be too surprised to see those numbers. So I think Haggis can probably count themselves unlucky, and that's probably why Rob's the happier manager leaving Scotland today.
He is. Ian's kind of think it's a poor game, and well done to Rob there. Haggis flatter into us, deceive again. Collins on a 6, going to score 3 and get a 10 next match. Greavesy saying that he hates seeing the goalkeeper get man of the match. I tend to agree with him, really. I like a player taking the game by the scruff of the neck. I think we're going to go with it. You know what? We're going to see the champions in action. The first time we've seen them since that victorious game where... not that one. I'll get it up in a minute. Let's get it up now. So the first time since they got that narrow victory, that golden goal winner from Stefan Effenberg over Leddersford in the last time, right, we're going to see them back in action. But they're up against the Swindon Devils, who, if you're looking past meetings, it's been tight, and obviously they kind of got the victory away at Devils, but many would say against the run of play, and obviously we know how strong Fifey's squad is. Fifey's business, we've brought in Gugu, not a huge fan of him myself, but Uliano absolutely rock solid. Lost Brugink and Elisa Derby, who was bit part players, although Brugink did have a really strong end to the season last year. this is how he lines up tonight. It's a bit of a change from that, and it's another team with a lot of arrows. How do you rate this lineup?
Really strong. Really strong lineup. Yeah, it's good. Jugu is a bit of an odd one. He seems to be the bit of a black sheep in that team. He was okay for Dudley in the couple of games he played, I suppose, just clicking the ratings there. I've actually had good success with him in home saves. So I do think he's decent, but the rest of the team looks really, really strong. Keels, obviously, as you know yourself, Brian, he is top player. Barry Ferguson, obviously a former Churchtown massive. He's a top player. Ronaldinho on his day is unplayable. Mpenza on most days is unplayable. Defoe seems also a bit odd there, but look, I think it's a top team.
You look at his
It's a
stats,
top team, I think.
he's developed really well in season one, even though he's not had any gaming time. So I think that's
Yeah,
probably why Fifey's kind of been itching to give him a go, and he's obviously he's brought in Nicola Ventola as well. He's got Montero and Emerson out, so he's absolutely.
underwhelming. I would say underwhelming business from Fifey, and I don't think
Yeah. So
too
if,
many
if
would
you if
disagree.
you if you could pick one player that you think Fifey should bring in, maybe I don't know. If you just kind of Gugu's the black sheep there, would you suggest he needs a DMC then, or do you think that's where he's weak? Or
Cambiasso seems like a good man to slot in there.
he's a big.
Good strong
I thought you might say
DMLC.
that.
And also, yeah, just seeing an MC, which I would have expected to be in the lineup. Maybe he's suspended or something. Just isn't there. Emerson can't get on the game. He's injured there. So, no, look, I think DMC, to be honest, I think that is a bit of a weakness there. Looking at it, I think Graviton's okay. Jugu is okay at Super League level, but I think, and look, this is nitpicking now, but I think that's probably a little bit of a weakness.
Yeah, if he has one, and the questions are, where's Dwight York, where's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where's Kevin Phillips? They are in the reserves, so if he ever needs some legends to come through, and if Sonny Anderson isn't doing the business, he does have some people in the reserves to come up. Um, David Dunn, obviously the game decided he didn't need a squad number. I would suggest he shouldn't be in the league myself, but there we are. Let's have a look at the champions, and a bit of questionable business done. Delvecchio swapped, I believe, with Aston Athletic for who was it? Franca. Zambrotta and Kesman brought in from Northern Burn for Cannavaro and Contra. That one definitely raised a couple of eyebrows in the group chat. Aymar from yourself for Kaladza and forgive me, Giovanni Elba. But he's also brought in some quality. Like I think a lot of people have said this is some of the best stats we've seen from Ronaldo. He's managed to pry him away, along with Christian Warnes from Dudley Hill. And I think some good business where he's lost Gustavo Lopez, who's a bit meh in my opinion, and Amoroso, who I do like, but didn't do the business towards the end of last season. He had a really good start, but kind of went quiet. This is how he lines up tonight. If you want to give us your how you feel about it.
Yeah, pretty good. Must say, I think Zambrata's a quality acquisition. Warnes is good. He lost Cannavaro to bring in others, so I think that's fine. Obviously, not having the greatest season last year. Greasy will be hoping to improve on that. Hoping Burns improves on. Jeez, he's brought in the duds. What the hell? You can click into Aymar there while you're at it.
Click into Aymar. He doesn't look too bad, does he? I mean,
No, go to the stats though. Or last season's stats.
yeah, he was terrible.
There you go. Yeah. So people who are questioning me, I suppose, just defend myself while I'm here. People are saying, "Oh, you lost Aymar for this and that." Look, Aymar was sub-7 player last year. I fucking would have almost taken anything for him. So I'll take whatever deal I can get. But look, he's the champ. He's got a strong team, strong goalie. Zambrata and Soren are good. Dakor I'm not a fan, but like I know he's successful in the game. It's just a personal thing. Like everyone's got those players that they just don't like. He's one of them. I don't think it's overly strong up top, but look, he's got the business. So who am I to criticize?
Indeed, this is the reigning champion. He starts he starts his reign at home in the Chip Shop car park to the Devils. Just seen the England score, they're winning 2-1, and it looks like John Stones had a little bit of redemption, getting an assist there. I know that's of no interest whatsoever to you.
No, we only like Luxembourg games and the like.
Yeah, how did the are the Irish playing tonight? Or
No, they drew 1-0 to Qatar last night in a friendly.
oh, big games. Well, I suppose they're not
Huge game.
Qatar aren't they, actually as bad as you might think. I know they beat Japan and
Ah,
Korea
Ryan,
recently.
Ryan, we lost 1-0 to Luxembourg. There's no talking me into giving the Irish any praise whatsoever.
What do you, I'll get some predictions from the chat, but you can. What do you reckon of the manager? That's the thing I was going to ask this Kenny guy. So he seems to be getting quite a bit of defence from the Irish fans I've seen.
Oh, I can see why. Like we have awful players. He's trying to get away from the huffball that we usually play, get it up to your Niall Quinns and what have you. But I don't know. Jury's still out. Let's say. I don't want to judge him too harshly. I think time moves quickly in football. Let's say.
Yeah. Quick look at some of the many what do you call it? Many predictions. Even into Champigno, he has gone for a 2-1 Devils victory. John Forster's gone 1-0 Loco. Seems like he's a bit of a locomotive Boston fan. Hodgie going 3-2 to Devils. Macca going for a Desmond. Let me see. Do you get my free tick takers? Sorry, Greavesy. Tell me your free kick takers. I mustn't have put them in. I'll just do it. I'll just quickly chat on Twitter now. Jesus, I mean, from what I gather, the kind of game always picks the best ones for you anyway. Da da da.
Nice to see you look behind the curtain, though.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but but I'd say 12 out of the 14 teams play this setup, so it's not like I'm clicking on the individual players.
No, I'm only messing. I suppose just in the silent, I suppose I'll fill it up with my prediction. 5P seems a lot better on paper, but he's up against the champs, so I will join. I think it was Haji that said a Desmond, so that's what I'll go for too.
Okay. Greasy, I'm sorry for giving away your secret, which everyone else uses as well. Right, there we are. Free kit takers. Sorted Greasy. I bet that's causing absolute carnage in the chat. Everyone gunning for Greasy. Copying team instructions for next game, blah blah blah. Right, yeah, I knew that would be happening. And Ronaldo as playmaker. Fucking hell. Who wants Ronaldo as playmaker?
Jeez, he's working you hard today, Ryan.
He is, Jenny. Right, right. So we've had our predictions. We've got the reigning champions at home to the Devils. Let's kick this off and see what happens. And it's Harry Kewell took 4 minutes to put the ball in the back of the net, but it was ruled out. And then Ronaldo, on his debut, has actually put the ball in the back of the net for Boston. It's 24 minutes gone, but it's gone very, very quickly. And Fifey won't like the score so far. The champions ahead. And we've got an injury to that man, Christian Warnes. Pancaro's right and left, so it's a straight swap for Lusenhoff. So I'm not even going to wait for that one because he's not going to do anything absolutely mad. It's 1-0, 39 minutes gone, we're nearly at half time. Not too much happened in this first half. 44,000 packed into the Chip Shop car park, and it was a bit of abysmal first half, if I do say so myself. Just 2 shots on target for each team. All the possession for Locomotive. Yeah, I mean, it looks like they've been slightly on top. Let's have a quick look at the disallowed goal. Ruled out for Kieran Dyer had been straight offside, and then it looks like a bit of a solo effort from Ronaldo after Zambrotta brought the ball down in his chest. If that's a Zambrotta assist in his first game after not getting one all season, would be pretty crazy. Let's have a quick look at Locomotive Boston's first half. They haven't given the assist to Zambrotta. It must have been too far back in the play. Del Vecchio gets the assist. Obviously, Ronaldo gets the goal. Bit of a solid first half, if uninspiring.
Yeah, uninspiring, but plenty of eights there. I think he'll be happy enough with that. I think he's dominating possession at home. I think he's restricted Devils to 2 shots, which Fife will be hopping up and down about at home. He wants to see Pens on the ball. It's not happening at the minute. I think it'd be
Your man
fairly,
just getting a
tough
6.
with that. Well, not shocked. Not shocked. That's all I'll say. I don't wanna go after the guy too much. I wish him all the best in his new ventures, but I'm not shocked. Look, it's a really solid performance. Larson, Petit, both on 8s. Barthez, like really good at Super League level. Del Vecchio with the assist and Ronaldo with the goal. Yeah, I think he'll be pretty delighted with the first half, and he loves a shithouse win. So yeah, he'll be delighted.
I was trying to think about you. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Did he bring Sorin in as well? He brought Sorin in from Leicester, so that's 5. 6 of the starters who he brought in, he's actually gone with in the first game. So he's not been shy about giving his new guys a run out. So it's obviously a kind of.
And they've learned the locomotive way very quickly.
Yeah, they must have had them down the training ground, parking that bus in the depot. That should definitely be the chip shop car park's name.
Yeah.
Depot. Let's have a quick look at the Devil stats, because I almost clicked on Ronaldinho getting a 5, which isn't what 5 we want to see. Defoe not been much better. 6s and 7s really. Kieran Dyer had a really good season last season and continuing that, but was offside for Kuhl's goal. Do you mean, I guess I say the same again, solid if uninspiring and not creating anything?
Yeah, it's just forgettable. Like there's nothing there. Like, yeah, 6s and 7s, Ronaldinho and a 5. Just, he's giving the ball away too much. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say, so I won't bother saying it.
Fair enough. And 5 is keeping as is, so we can move on relatively quickly, and that's exactly what we'll do. So yeah, and Penza is involved though, as is Defoe. And Penza, I believe, hit one of the bit of the woodwork there. It looks like the Devils are coming into it a little bit more.
And they're definitely good enough to get a goal, so I wouldn't count them out of it at all.
Definitely not. I was going to ask you really, obviously it's probably not the best time to ask you about, as this continues, looks like it's all locomotive at the moment actually. Ronaldinho shooting wide. I'll actually finish the game, then I'll ask you the question. That's a good thing to do. Zambrotta, Ronaldo shoots. Ronaldinho. Oh, and there is Emil and Penza so late in the game. And Ronaldo puts it wide, and we have another 1-1 draw. And Penza getting the late equaliser. Looking at shots on target, slightly deserved, you'd say. A bit of wasteful opportunities from Locomotive. Action zones, all possession and in the Devils area. So it looks like Devils very much working on the counter attack. Quick look at Emil's goal there. Kuhl set up Emil in the area, and he lofted it over Barthez. Barthez wouldn't like being lobbed there. So, I mean, both teams relatively happy. I mean, it's not the kind of all guns blazing, goals galore first couple of games we wanted, is it?
I think it's the shithouser has been shithoused. I think Greavesy would be absolutely bulling at that. I think he was all over him. I didn't notice the possession stats go even close to going over the 50% mark. He seemed to be absolutely all over Fifey, but Fifey got the goal, and it's goals that decide games. So yeah. I don't think Greavesy will be going home a happy man. I'll put it to you that way. No. I think Fifey will probably take it after that game, how it went. Even though it might have seemed he was more clinical in front of. He definitely was more clinical in front of goal. But I think Greavesy will be raging. I think Fifey will definitely take that point and move on to next week.
Yeah, looking at this quickly, comments on a couple of Locomotive players. I mean, Imar's come in, and as you kind of I don't know if you hoped, but you kind of semi-predicted, he's not hit the ground running, not had the best game at all. A couple of his other players though he's brought in, he got the goal from Ronaldo and the assist from Del Vecchio, which is nice to see. I know Zambrotta was also involved and not had a bad game. Carsten Ramelow with an 8, obviously he's in Super League's gone past, he's been a bit of a legend. Why can't I click that? Here I can. And Petit getting a 9, so solid performance there. Barthez, even though he got lobbed at the end, still getting an 8. Quick look over at the Devils. Lack of key passes, lack of creativity, I think seems to be the main issue there. And Penza getting him out of jail, really. Kieran Dyer. It's the same 2 players from last season who were kind of dragging him through, who dragged him through again. He'll need better performances from Ronaldinho. I don't know if you want to say anything on the Devils, but I mean the point I was going to ask you is we don't have any friendlies here in the Super League, and a lot of the players, you kind of, I don't know if I clicked on the wrong one, maybe Juliano. No, I'm definitely clicking on the wrong players here, but a lot of players were saying lacking match practice before game 1. I was wondering how much of an impact do you think that generally has?
Yeah, definitely does have an impact. Takes players a while to get up to speed. I think we're seeing a couple of big names kind of falter. David Collins in the previous game, Ronaldinho in this game. So I think that affected Fifey's whole performance. I think Ronaldinho is his linchpin there to get balls to Mpenza, give him the service that he needs. So I think Fifey, once he gets Ronaldinho purring, is looking at kind of 15 shots a game, 10 on target kind of stats. And if he has that, he's probably likely to score 3 goals a game, which he was doing last year. So I don't think it's panic stations for Fifey, not at all. I mean, he got a draw against the reigning away from home against the reigning champs. So when you put it that way, I suppose he'll take that result all day long.
Yeah. John Forster saying the local boys are going to be walking funny after the gaffer's had a word. Alf, and he's got the 2 correct scores in his first 2. That's I'd be doing well on the Super 6 as and when that goes live, Alf. Next up, what game flashed up was the Hools versus Churchtown game, which we're leaving till last. So we're going to go to Dudley Hill, and they're at home to the unfancied Astor Athletic. Dudley Hill, obviously just going to run through the players he brought in: Serginho, Elisa Davis, Sereni Finnan, Gustavo Lopez, Lee Boy and Amoroso. A lot of Super League starters. This is what he's gone with tonight. Crespo, Elisa Davy up top. He's brought Steve Finnan, Serginho straight into the team, and Amoroso. He's brought Rustico up from the reserves. I think it looks solid enough, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I think Serginho is a really good player. I think he came in from Dragons. Finnan's really solid. Rustico's really good. Tomazi's good. Van der Vaart, Boyer, strong in the middle. Amoroso's been really good at Super League. Elisa Davy, really good player. Crespo, a really good player. Yeah, hard to pick out a weakness. Maybe Serini in goals, but look, we're nitpicking at this stage. I think it looks solid.
It's an interesting one, isn't it, Serini? He's got Dionysus Chiotis. He let Todo go to Bern very early on, and then he's brought in Mazzantini, who's a bit of a question mark about him. He's brought in Serini, who's obviously no kind of game time at all at Hools, and I don't know if he's just going from average goalkeeper to average goalkeeper, really. So it's an interesting one. Serginho,
I don't know if he's maybe had odd experiences with Chiotis before. I think Chiotis, in saves I've had, he's liable to throw in 4 or 5 goals into the net, and it can get quite frustrating, even though he does okay. But it looks like he had a pretty decent season last year for a goalkeeper. So yeah, interesting to see how Serini gets on.
Yeah. The other player I was going to mention was that Serginho gets the nod ahead of Carlos, which is an interesting one in my book.
I think Serginho is better than Carlos. I think that's a good decision. I think Serginho is up there with kind of top class Brazilian kind of left wing backs in the game. I know Carlos is another one of them, but yeah, no, big fan of Serginho.
Yeah, and my last comment before we move over to Astor is Tomasi, and it's basically not necessarily how well he did at Dudley Hill. I think he did solid enough there, a couple of assists, 7.67, but it was how much the Sloth's form changed after they kind of let Tomasi go. He obviously went from Sloths to Dudley Hill and in the Totti deal, and Sloths who were kind of flying high all season and rock solid in defensive midfield with Neil Scally and Tomasi, and their form just had a bit of a car crash after that game. So it's a interesting one. Ayala's going to be captain and Carlos, I'm not too sure. There we are, we're happy out with that. Let's have a look at Astor. the big deals that he did was generally with let's have a get this straight. With Haggis, he brought in Hoffman, Placenta, and Nedved, and let go of Radoy, Duff, and Shevchenko. Also let go of Materazzi and Del Vecchio, Franca, and Emre coming in. And a couple of people he picked up in the auction there. David Batty, Torricelli, Cavallero, no slouch, his goalkeeper. Robbie Fowler, kind of overlooked, his stats look really strong. And Mark Vivian Foe, former Super League winner with Halle. Alf, obviously famed for going narrow, and there's no change there tonight. He's brought a few players who were kind of out in the cold last season back in, Kaluzhny being the one, and the obviously interesting decision here, I believe, is Pavel Nedved starts up top. What do you make of this lineup, mate?
No surprise when you see the tactic. But yeah, I think Nedved up top is a surprise, but Nedved's been a top performer for kind of a Palmer to Nykauf side that I remember. So he's a top player. It'd be interesting to see, can he do it up top, especially when you consider he's got Franca in the team who can, I think he's an F4C or something like that. So interesting, as is Danielson, or just an FC, but Danielson can definitely play in the forward position, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Remmer isn't a player I've had before or know too much about, but his stat looks strong there, and Alf would have done his homework there. He seemed to have quite solid ratings for him last year. Yeah, solid. Look, Aster historically have been very hard to break down, and on their day can score 3 or 4 against you. So there's a lot of changes. I think he's got his man, who is Rui Costa, in the middle. He'll probably be his linchpin today, and yeah, we'll see if Kaluzhny can repay the faith that the manager's shown. Okay.
He actually, in pre-season, just to kind of give people a context, he had Wooder on a kind of managerial loan spell. Who kind of, obviously they did a bit of a home save work together. So Wooder's kind of giving Aster a bit of cheering on tonight. He's asking where Simon Davies is, and the answer to that question, I have absolutely no idea. Is he even at them? I don't think he. Davies. He is at Aster. He's in the reserves. He's not in the starting 24, so he's not going to be here for the next few weeks. But let's go towards the match, and let's ask people in the chat if they've got any predictions for this. And Kieran, you got any predictions for this one, mate?
I think it would be tight. I think there's definitely a goal in Aster. I'm going to say 2-1 Dudley.
2-1 Dudley Hill. Mega Horse is going 3-1. Evening Dan. It seems to be the only start. Hopefully we're not going to have another 1-1. That's not what I want. I want a winner to be either way. Dimble saying that what do you call it? Wooder and Alpha, the cutest couples into Mika and Rai. Duggan going for a 3-1 home victory. Fifey thinking 4-2, and 1-1 from Mr. Edwards, and El Champino going 2-2. Alf backing Dudley Hill for a 4-0. Interesting. Let's kick this off then and see where it gets us. Looks like the first attack went to Aster, and there's a lot of orange out there. Serginho involved as well. Looks like it could go either way. No goals in the first 10 minutes, or are there? A lot of happening in 90 minutes, and Kaluzhny getting a yellow card early. I'm one of Kaluzhny's biggest fans, so glad to see him get a game, but he won't be getting too much praise from Alf for letting Steve Finnan run free and get the goal, and Crespo doubles the lead, 25 minutes gone, and Dudley 2-0 up. I believe that Steve Finnan is Steve Wright's favourite player on the game, so we'd be delighted to see that. Obviously a player he's brought in, 2 players he's brought in mid-season last year and obviously towards the end of it, and they look good value for that 2-0 victory at half time, don't they? 10-6 versus 3-2, really solid. It's like a really solid first half performance. 53% possession. I don't know, actually, a bit more in the Dudley Hill area, but Alpha hasn't getting any shots off. Let's have a quick look at the goals, and it was Crespo took control of the loose ball and laid it off for Steve Finnan. So Crespo looks like he may have a goal and an assist there. And Amoroso headed it. Crespo takes up loose goal and hits it towards goal. So yeah, really, really solid first half performance, and we're also only getting a 6 and not getting credited with that assist. Um, but beyond that, Dudley Hill absolutely faultless this first half.
Yeah, utterly dominant, I'd say. Top ratings, really strong performance. They looked the much better team just from reviewing or just from looking at the text. Surprised Amoroso's on a 6, considering the amount that they've created, and I suppose it's just he's missed a fair few shots there. 3 he's kind of dragged wide or put over the bar. Oh, look, that's as good a performance as you'll get out of Dudley Hill. And I think a couple of people had them down low with ourselves in the prediction. So look, he'll be absolutely delighted to put in a really strong performance in this first half.
Yeah, Sereni getting 8 as well, answering a couple of questions there. Um, I mean, I'm not going to say
100%. Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's a disaster, but it's not far off from Astro Athletic. Pretty much 6s across the board, apart from
Just
Kevin Hoffland. It's
just flat. They haven't got out. They haven't got out the blocks, really, have they? I don't know how many of their players maybe were lacking match practice. But it looks like a few of them have struggled to get up to the speed of this game. But who knows in the second half? If they can get one back early, they might stand a chance. But I'd say it looks like Dudley Hill's 3 points at this stage.
Yeah, Wood out is the chance from the crowd. Dimble there. I've been waiting to see if Alf wants to do anything at half time. He obviously, the new thing, you can make 2 subs have you all at your own risk. I think that came out this week. And there's also the fact that you can switch players within the formation. I mean, I'm not going to be taking the piss here, so I'm not going to say you can put Raymer up top X, Y, Z. But do you mean if you wanted to make a substitute and bring on say
You wanted maybe to take off Frank, put on Fowler, move Nedved back.
Yeah, I mean that's something that we could do. I didn't play his recommendations, so Alf basically having confidence that Rudder was talking absolute rubbish, but still not giving me an answer on substitutions. I basically Rudder, I'm not too sure about if your involvement is official here, so I'm just going to wait for Alf to give me some kind of some kind of instruction, mate.
Yeah, I did hear the work experience ended last week, so
yeah. Let's come on, Alf. Hurry up, mate.
any substitutes from Dudley, presumably not.
No, Dudley told me same as, which is not surprising really. Frank and Nedved switch. Sorry, that's what he's asking. Frank and Nedved switch. That's all we're doing.
Quick little flip flop.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Both players in more their natural positions, but
Yep.
no, it's official. It's not official. Sorry, I was shouting at Alf. I bleed dragon blood. Wow. Well, the 4-0 definitely is on now, and that's the third goal. I'm not even sure who scored. Is it Lee Bowyer? Yes, it is Lee Bowyer. Which I mean, Steve will be very happy with. It's a really, really dominant performance here. Yeah, I mean, trying to think of some positives here. It does look like Astra are getting on the ball every now and again. Dan Nielsen putting one clean over the bar there. And there is, isn't Pavel Nedved. He did put the ball in the back of the net, but it was ruled offside. And we get to the final whistle and 3-0. And that is a pretty much as dominant a performance as we're going to see in the Super League, especially from Dudley Hill. Really solid 3-0 victory, 7 shots on target to Astra's 2. I mean, possession and action done still relatively fairly split. The third goal came from Lee Bowyer quite early on. Serginho put across far post, and what do you call it? Kieran Collins had just messaged me via Skype saying it's all frozen.
I'm back.
Okay,
I'm back.
I think you say it looks like it's live on YouTube, but yeah. Lee Bowyer drove the ball in low to cap a wonderful Dudley Hill move. I mean, I questioned Serginho pre-game and in the chat midweek. Happy to be proven wrong there. Really solid performance from him. Gets up to 10 man of the match and an assist. 4 key passes. That's a really, really good performance. But I mean, across the board, really, with the exception of Amoroso, for whatever reason, really excellent performance.
Yeah, look, that's as good as you're going to get. 3-0 at home, clean sheet. 8s and 9s everywhere. Goals and assists all over the shop. Serginho backing up to manage the decision. Crespo looking really good. Great day at the office.
Great day at the office. Not going to dwell on the Aston performance. Hoffland moved up from a 7 to an 8 at half time. A couple of other players picked up a 7 rather than the 6. Peruzzi dropped down to a 5 though.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think just a forgettable day. I think just first week syndrome. Just they didn't get out of the blocks. Keeper letting them down again. I don't think he's had too much luck with the man between the sticks. So hopefully he can turn that going forward.
yeah, I'm not going to dwell on it too much here, but I completely agree there. You need something needs to change there because it's not what they am. Aston bottom, most managers predicted, is Alf's comment there. Next up, we see Scott Sadler of Bostock Stanley and his playoff qualifying team get their campaign underway to the three-headed dragons. Let's have a quick look at Bostock straight away, and they did some dealings with the Dragons, bringing in Salva and Ortega for Joe Cole, I believe, maybe someone else, but I think actually just Joe Cole. Beyond that, he's brought in Brozek from Haggis for Riquelme, Sylvester from Northern Trezeguet from Leddersford to kind of bolster that. I'm not too sure how much we're going to see of Carlos Jacks, but I know he likes him at Chudley Cannons. Riquelme and Cole seem to be the two big names to leave the club. And Maldini's gone to Leddersford. So here's how they line up week 1. Salva, Brozek, straight into the fray. Ortega starting surprisingly, you could say, at right wing back, and Sylvester straight in at centre back. How do you rate this lineup?
Yeah, not bad. Look, it's a really strong lineup. He's got Vieri up front on his own, which I think probably suits Vieri down to the ground. Brozek is top quality player in my opinion. Sylvester Lasisi solid. Milevski Tudor solid. Like you, Ryan, don't fancy Ortega in the right wing back. I don't think it's going to go well. Likewise, I think Zidane is just this game's biggest myth. I'm surprised he got 7 goals from 19 last year. He's usually a lot worse than that. Salva, I don't know if you wouldn't mind clicking into him. I haven't noticed him massive amount. Interesting to see how he gets on. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, he made a handful of appearances for Bolton Wanderers, so I've kind of got a soft spot for him. So it can kind of be, my opinion on him can be ignored. But he was European top goal scorer one season, and you mean I think it might probably been 03-04. He was actually European top goal scorer. So he does know where the back of the net is. Yeah, he seems to be a good player without being outstanding. A lot of mid to late teens stats. Yeah.
Hopefully he can get in. Like you say, you never know in this game, and I think around him he does have plenty of quality. It'd be the only two positions would be Zidane and Ortega that I would just slightly question, but everything else I think looks pretty good, and I think Lizarazu's quality. And yeah, I think he's got a lot of his old reliables in there. I think Andre is a player he had previously. So yeah, I think he'll be pretty confident going into this.
Let's have a quick look up, and then Steve Wright and Wooder handbags at 10 paces in the chat. Christian Vieri is going to be captain for this one. Let's have a quick look up the Dragons, and obviously they did a bit of dealings. They brought in Emerson towards the end of last season from yourself, Koku, Kavanaghi, Joaquin and Felipe in the auction, and Joe Cole, Silakovic, Davids, Lucio and Karagunis also from yourself in this season's transfer window. I think the big names there, you've got to make up Joe Cole, Davids and Lucio, and all those start, I believe. Yeah, Davids, Joe Cole and Lucio. Is this a different Dragons from last season, or is it going to be the same old, same old? It looks a bit, I mean, no Ibrahim Said at centre back.
Yeah, you hate Ibrahim Said. I don't think he's that bad. Look, it's the three-headed beast. It's a really strong. It'd be hard to say it's not a really strong team on paper. It's exciting. D'Alessandro back and Cole up there. Seems like there's plenty going on. Constantinu, maybe not for me. Not sure. At the back though, Bauma's top quality. David Elias are very good. Brett Emerson, I tried to warn Jamie, and I don't know if his two assistants or the two co-commentate or the two co-managers know. I told you, Dud lads, he is going to be shit. Wes and Lucio really good, and Can's quite solid. So yeah, look, they've got a really solid team. It's a hard one to call this game. Maybe a bit of a gap there in the middle, but I'm sure there's some sort of forward runs on Zalius and Davids. They'll get forward to support.
Indeed, indeed. So we look at how these two got on last season, and it was kind of dominated by Bostock home and away, and you'd expect after qualifying for the playoffs last time out, and Dragons being in the mire for much of the season.
I think you would say that I think Dragons look stronger on paper. I think it's hard to argue that, but Bostock are at home and they have the better pedigree, you'd argue. So yeah, look, really tight game. I don't know. I'll wait to hear a couple of other predictions before I make my own.
Okay, well, let's get some predictions then. We've got Jens mentioned it's the three-dicked dragon.
Ready to fuck this entire league.
Mr. Edwards going 2-1 to Bostock. Fifey going 2-0 to the Dragons. Steve Wright 12-0 for Wooder. Dimble going for a 3-0. Dudley going and Alf going for a 1-1. And he's put Lassisi, not Lazuzzi. Sorry, I do apologise. Where is Lassisi? He's there. Scott, I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. He's trying to do 16 things at once. And I just can hear my daughter screaming in the background. So I apologise if you can hear that. I know that you can see on the monitor that the wife's sorting it though. We're going to kick this one off. It's Bostock versus Dragons. And yes, it'll see interesting to see if the new look Dragons can improve on their display from last season.
I think it's all fart and no shit from Dragons again though. 1-0 Bostock.
1-0 Bostock. Kieran says, let's kick this off and see what happens. And Brozek on his debut after 10 minutes puts the ball in the back of the net. That's not what the three-headed dragon want to see. Constantino having a chance but missing it. Brozek putting one over. Does look like the Dragons are creating chances though. Interesting if this see gets a take any. Brozek makes it 2-0. Bostock look really, really strong here. Obviously, so many issues last season with goals conceded. Dragons might be it takes a bit of time for this kind of new look team to kind of bed in, but they'll be happy that Constantino has got off the score sheet and pulled one back. 5 minutes to go on half time. Let's see if we can see any more before half time. It's good that we've had a few goals in the first half, and Salbert driving one wide just before half time. Definitely in Bostock's favour, but not all their own way. 6 on target to 4. A few free kicks as well for Bostock, and I know Zidane scored a few of those last season. Dragons having more possession, but it's been a lot of it in their own area. A lot of it is relatively kind of evenly split though. Mileski lifts the ball ahead of Brozek in the area. Brozek did a bit of a run and then a vicious shot into the top scorer. Obviously pleased to be at the club. Tudor lifted the ball forward with Ortega looking to pick it up. Ortega down for Brozek and a diving header from Brozek. Brozek obviously making a fantastic start there. Let's have a quick look at this one. Constantino heads the ball dribbling low by back. Constantino first to the rebound and hit a face shot. Andre had gone walkabout. This is maybe a little bit harsh on Andre considering he just saved a shot from Ardius back. So yeah, maybe a little bit harsh, but good first half of football. Bostock Stanley really started that game strong. Obviously went 2-0 up, 2 goals from Brozek. Would Scott have been really happy after 35 minutes and then started to get a little bit nervous towards the end of the first half?
I think he'd be annoyed more than anything else. I think he seemed really dominant after 35. Everything going his way. It is his debut, isn't it?
Brozek, yeah, he just signed from Haggis. Did you ask about Brozek? Sorry, your audio cut out for a second. I'm not too sure if Jamie's audio is cut. Kieran's audio is cut out. If someone in the live chat can just tell me if they can hear me, that'd be really helpful.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. You're back here, and I lost you for a
Apologies,
second.
don't
There
know
was
what
it?
happened on there. I was just singing Pavel Brozek's praises with no one to hear me. Um, but yeah, I think really happy. Milevsky, Tudor, solid in the middle. Ortega probably harsh not to get an 8 after putting in a pinpoint cross after a bit of criticism from myself and kind of a couple of eyebrows raised. He'll be frustrated that Andre palms the ball back into Konstantinu's path. But I think overall he'll be pretty happy. He'll just hope that Dragons don't get the big wind in their sails after getting the goal before half time.
Yep. Obviously, Scott's relatively happy with his first half performance because he's going unchanged for the second half. No one under a 90 condition for the Dragons, but it is all 6s and 7s. You think your man Brett Emerson getting a 6, Wilfred Baumer, who just never really got going. I mean, well, I'll say that 6 assists isn't too bad, but average rating under 7 from who a lot of people say is one of the top left wing backs on the game.
Yeah, he's normally up there at like your 8 average. Never
Yeah,
mind 7.5 or anything like that.
yeah. Zay Elias and Davids and CDM. I mean, I just don't know. It just seems a little bit of a. Oh, it seems like there's something missing from
Sluggish.
this performance. Yeah, sluggish.
Sluggish. Something, yeah, something missing there. Like the players are there, but it's just not clicking right now.
We're going to actually change. D'Alessandro is going to come off having a quiet first half, and we're going to see a lad who spent his time in I think your reserves last season. Those 3 games were in the Oceanic Cup, I do believe. Yes, they were. So
Yep.
Karagounis making his Super League debut. I think that's the only change he's going to make. And the 2-1 down, so let's see what happened. I thought we might see Batistuta as well, but it's obviously that's not the case. Let's kick the second half off and see what happens. It started with some yellow, Constantino involved early on, but that seemed to dwindle to nothing. Ortega going past Davids there, and Big Shagger has picked up a knock, not what Scott would like to see. I'm going
Yeah.
to get the Trezeguet straight swap ready, and if it's wrong, then he can tell me. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be Trezeguet swapping. Obviously, Trezeguet bought from Leddersford.
Yeah, I think that's a good move as well. You'd be pretty happy bringing on Trezeguet as a backup. I think for situations like these, you wouldn't back against Trezeguet getting a goal here in a game like this.
No, Maka putting some teary-eyed face for Karagounis. Obviously, not a big fan of his. Let's continue the game though. 50 minutes gone, still a long way to go. It'll be interesting if Karagounis scores there. It's not Karagounis, but someone else on the
But it's
debut has scored.
2-2
It's
after all that.
yeah, Joe Cole. Does look like Dragons are creating chances as well, which is you see, and I say that, and Joe Cole's got another. Joe Cole, I believe, off Bostock last season. Yep. Coming back to haunt his old manager. This is not what Scott would like to see. 2-0 up and now down 3-2. They are in a lot of possession at the moment though, but this is absolutely unbelievable. The Dragons have found an extra gear. Zia Lewis makes it 4. What is going on here? I thought it might be 5 then for a second. 90 minutes gone, and that's a scramble away. And Bostock 2-0 up. Get a consolation back before half time, then absolutely dominate the second half. It's reflected in the stats as well. 12-6 shots on target. Action zones relatively level. What a half!
Oh, I mean, Karagounis, I don't think there'd be any more crying faces anymore. He seemed to be the difference. Haven't seen his stats now, but be shocked if it was anything under an 8. Yeah, incredible from the second half, really. Completely turned the game around. Scott will be sick.
Yeah.
And the 3 dicks will be fucking proudly erect.
Yep. A little bit of morning glory in Wales.
100%.
Patrick Vieira came up after picking up a knock, and that seemed to change the game. But let's not take anything away from the Dragons. Joe Cole just applied the finish after an Archie back hits the shot with fury. It looks like a bit of a Joe Cole solo run there on 64 minutes, and then it's Constantino heading the ball towards goal. Andre turns the ball away, and Zay Elias, what he's doing up there, I have no idea, but putting away the finish. Let's have a quick look at the chat whilst you dissect the Dragons squad. El Champino saying
sorry,
wow.
go ahead.
Jens going wow, the 3 dick dragon. all them sixes at half time, any improvement they had chance, yeah. Hopkins, fecking come on, feck work up the Dragons. Brilliant
What a
stuff from
performance, though. That it really was the Joe Cole show. He obviously had a point to prove against Scott, and boy, did he prove it. What a performance.
yeah,
Less than 7 last year, starts off with a 10 at Dragons. That's top quality man management. Zaelius and Edgar David solid as a rock in the middle, coming up with the good Zaelius at the end. Constantinu, he'll be delighted with that. Archie back, probably harsh to be on a 7 considering he had 2 rippers of shots, palmed away by Andre for follow-up goals. Oliver Kahn 8. I think Jamie and the 2 boys will be absolutely delighted. I think 4-2 away from home is a great start to the year, and people will take notice now.
yeah, I think they will do. And I mean, kind of Scott will be absolutely sick to the stomach about the Joe Cole situation. Obviously, he scored 4 goals in the entirety of last season, and he's got 2 in his first game for Dragons. Not what we wanted to see. And I mean, looking at his team, it's not a bad performance, is it? But it looks like that.
No, not at all.
Six.
Not at all. But
yeah,
Andre clearly had a lot of work to do anyway. It seemed like maybe he was potentially not. I wouldn't. Could have been for a few of the goals, but considering he. Sorry, can you hear me there?
Yeah,
sorry.
I can hear you. Oh, you audio keeps going in and out a little bit. I'll give you a couple of seconds, Kieran.
I think that should be okay now.
It is okay now. You're back.
Yeah. So yeah, look, it's not the worst performance by any means. So I think it's just a case of take your medicine. Joe Cole just had it out for you, and you just have to move on.
Yeah, it is indeed one to take the medicine there. Milevsky getting a 9 and Brozak getting his 2 goals.
He'll be really encouraged with Ortega there at right wing back. I think from what might have seemed like quite a risky tactical decision, he came in with an 8 and an assist in a game where they conceded 4 goals. So he obviously didn't do too much wrong there, 2 key passes. Brozek he'll be delighted with. Salva wasn't too bad. Maybe wants him to get involved a little bit more. But yeah, losing Vieri, obviously Trezeguet came on and just... I mean, he had the same amount of work rate as Vieri, but there's an 8, there's a 6, and maybe there's the gulf in quality that he's looking for. Maybe Vieri is that key to how he plays.
Yeah, so it definitely was the Joe Cole show in the second half. Let's move away. Where do we go? Should we go to the Gazelles? Let's go to the Gazelles. Craig, let's see, he's on over the summer. He's brought in quite a few players in the auction. He brought in Panucci, Thomason, Battaglia, Diana, who he thought was at Adani, and Basturk, spending 35 million, more than any other club. And then he's brought in Clarence Seedorf, Marvin Andrews, and Marco Materazzi in the exchanges. He's lost Lucio to Dragons in that Seedorf thing, and he's also lost Emre, who didn't feature really at all, really, to Asta, and a couple of people of doing. But I mean, less is more in terms of transfer business for Gazelles. I was quite surprised that Rio Ferdinand and Figo stayed at the club when they're unhappy. I was even more surprised when I received this formation and he decided that week 1 he's going to go 3 at the top.
I love to see it. Absolutely love to see it.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, he's...
Yeah, I think he's... Sorry, go on ahead, Ryan.
No, I was kind of setting you up, mate. That's fine.
Raul and Figo, as you know very well, I think I've definitely been questioned the pair of them in the positions that they're currently playing in, but they've well proved me wrong. I think Dede is as good as a Roberto on his day. Cafu is world class. Roy Keane is world class. It's a really strong team and it's an interesting formation, but maybe he's got the key to unlock Seedorf in that position, kind of just letting him drift into that central area and make things happen. Balak's been a bit of an enigma in this league. Got a load of goals for slots one year. Did not bad for Gazelles last year, kind of a goal and 2 assists in 7 games. But maybe there's more to come in this attacking formation, so it should be exciting. Yeah,
he obviously went out. I believe the last fixture of this was last fixture that Gazelles played was against Fulchester. Right, and oh no, I'm wrong. I thought that they met in the playoffs, and was it Fulchester get their golden goal against? That was Bostock, wasn't it? Yep. Sorry, Gazelles and Fulchester did the Gazelle did the double over Fulchester last season, 2-1 and 1-0, and notoriously quite strong at home as well. Macca obviously already talking his team down. Yeah, it just depends, obviously. They flattered to deceive a little bit last season. They were massively inconsistent, Gazelles. So if they can kind of get a run together early on, that'll kind of bode them well for the season. Yeah, it'll be interesting if they do stick for the entire. They've obviously got transfers left, and if they do stick with Ferdinand and Figo, or he is looking to kind of ship them off for to kind of get him some cheerier players. Fulchester have had a few issues. Obviously, they've got hangover suspensions from Biscan and Butt, Diabobo Balde, who they spent big money on, and Javier Saviola both have slight knocks. Macca spent 10.5 million on Balde, but also brought in Emerson, the DMC, Chris Sutton, Darren Anderton, Helder Postiga. For whatever reason, he's brought them to. I have no idea. And he's done some interesting deals. Julio Arca, Lampard, Dalmat, Donati, and probably most notably David Beckham, who Macca thinks can do the business. A lot of people, and I believe in our co-chairman Martin, doesn't think he's Super League quality. This is what Macca's got for us tonight. Has this got enough to kind of push the Gazelles back? I kind of will note that in a lot of the pre-season predictions we've seen, it's got Fulchester up near the top.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it's you've got Buffon, Valharen at the back are really solid. Dave Prutton is a quality player. Varane is arguably the best in the league in his position. Sutton and Louis Zhao up top. It'd be remiss of me not to say how shit that looks on paper. Beckham at right wing, not sure. Giggs at left wing though is top quality. Can be like CM seems to be just so favourable towards those left-sided players. There seems to be so many of them. I think it's a pretty good team on paper. I don't know what's the word. It doesn't blow me away. I'll put it that way, but more than capable of scoring on their day and definitely being able to potentially get the 3 points from Gazelles.
Yeah, a couple of things in the chat. Scott being courteous in defeat as always, kind of thing. What do you call it? Let's have a quick look. Macca Ian Campbell saying, Macca, I hate this so much that I love it. Obviously an interesting lineup. Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't gone with Michael Owen, especially with Saviola being out tonight. But obviously he's brought Chris Sutton in for a few question marks. Dimble saying, so he's gonna play him. Dimble saying he's seen better looking Fulchester lineups. I've got to say I do kind of agree a little bit. Prutton wasn't given a squad number, but we'll proceed to the match. Get some predictions in the chat there, lads. Hopefully not some 1-1s. Something a bit more exciting than that. And then let's see, what do you fancy, Kieran? Do you think Gazelles have got enough to continue their winning run against Fulchester, or do you mean are the pre-season predictions going to be proven right?
I think this is Gazelles' games to lose. I'm thinking, I want to say 3-0, but no, let's say 3-1 to Gazelles. I think they've gone for it up top. It'll be really exciting to see if they do manage to kind of get off to a good opening game and not have that kind of laggy first game that a couple of teams have. So yeah, I'm excited. I think Gazelles for the 3 points anyway at home.
Yeah, Mega Horse and Swindon Devils both going for a 0-0. Thanks a lot, lads. As is Jens as well. Mr. Ian Edwards going for a 2-1 home victory. Alfred going for a 4-1 away victory. El Champigno going 3-2. Dimble going 1-1. Duggan going 2-1 to Fulchester. Macca thinks he's going to get battered as he's never beat Gazelles. Let's kick this one off though and see how it does play out. Early chance there. I said early, but it came to flick to 24 minutes very, very quickly. And we do have a goal on 30 minutes. That's for Luis Figo.
Your man?
He is my old man. And it looks like Gazelles are on top. Clive adding a second on 34. and it looks like they're the team creating chances at the moment. This slick passing football, technically astute football that Mac has promised for Fulchester doesn't seem to be happening tonight, and they haven't created anything at all. 6 shots on target for 4 shots on target for Gazelles to none from Fulchester. Action zones predominantly, I mean, a lot of it in the middle of the park, but predominantly down in Fulchester's end, and Gazelles having the better of the possession. See this, that is such a short bar there before the goal went in, and it's Raoul and Figo combining like they did in years past. Figo lost his man and found himself plenty of room, and then it's a Figo shot again. This time Buffon got the save, but Clivert was there to put the finish. Yeah, really solid first half from the Gazelles, wasn't it?
Incredible first half. They looked dominant throughout. Yeah, Keane. Sorry, is that Day? Yeah, Day. Strong performance. Roy Keane really strong. 6 out of 6 headers. 2 tackles, 2 tackles, 1 key. So he just seems to be keeping it really solid. Mourinho as well. They're just really solid at the back. Fulchester just struggling to break them down and all, and they've been pretty clinical up top. Figo, Clivert, and Raoul seem to be on the pace, all getting shots on target. Balak and everyone just seems to be involved. I think I'd be absolutely delighted with that performance. Really solid first half.
Yeah, and conversely, Maka won't be happy with that performance. I mean, we kind of had a word about the Astor performance earlier on tonight, and that was all 6s and 1-7. This is all 6s and a couple of 5s and 1-7. The only kind of bright spark there being David Beckham, Chris Sutton pulling out of 5, Gigi Buffon pulling out of 5. Not what Maka wants to see.
Yeah, I think he needs to get that wanker Sutton off and potentially another club. I don't really have much time for Chris Sutton. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, I don't know what to say. What is there to say? They need to start doing something in the second half, or they'll lose this game by even more. I think 2 subs are probably needed, but I mean, what I would say is not too many attacking options on that bench. Like Dalmat, if you're looking for a goal, I don't know if he's the man you'd be loved to bring on.
It was an interesting purchase, in my opinion.
Seems to be limited by options coming off the bench. Just personally, I'd want a few more attacking options, but
yeah,
it's obviously easy to say that with hindsight.
Yeah, it's one of those things. A lot of players pick. I mean, the one I'll pick was Haggis have Stephen Reid on the bench, can play in a multitude of positions. I mean, Hodgie's a favourite of going for Volodenkov on the bench because he can play all over the place. And Maka tonight has gone for a centre defender, a midfield left and centre, and a striker, which, I mean, not really doesn't offer the versatility that maybe Agahoa does.
Yeah.
But
I don't know what you think now. I think the ideal bench to me, you want to be covering the DMs and the backs with one player. I think.
Yeah,
there's so many of those DMs out there that I think that's an ideal sub, and then you've got 2 attacking subs, a striker, and then someone that can play that attacking midfield or NC or something like that.
Completely agree, because if you want to make subs at half time, they generally are going to be attacking subs to freshen things up for players who aren't good. I mean, your defensive subs are there to cover injuries, really. I don't think many people change
red cards or something like that. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and typically you're not going to get more than one of that in the game. But look, easy for us to say when it hasn't happened to us in this game like it has.
Yeah. So Maka's brought Michael Owen on and see what happened here. I mean, he's saying, "Does anyone just ignore my injuries and suspension thing?" Yeah, I will mention that. He to be fair to him, Igor Biscan, who does have that versatility we suggested, he is suspended tonight, and he's pretty much in the squad for pretty much every game. And Nicky Butt would be starting in that DMC position. So, yeah, to give Mac a little bit of credit, he does have a few issues in terms of selection. But let's.
All right, Maka. I take it back.
Right, let's kick off the second half and see if Michael Owen can make a difference. Beckham had a shot there. Looks like there's like a little bit more of the same though. A lot of black and yellow. Figo far post. Yeah, Dede involved. It's such a strong team when they do get going. He needs something special from Veron and Donati to try and get back in this game. Owen smashed one in and low there though. Needs one of these to go in relatively soon. Maka, half volley. I saw that there. Both teams creating chances, and there is Michael Owen off the bench with 10 minutes to go. Can they nick a point here after that poor first half? It doesn't look like it, as Raoul has completed all three strikers have scored there. Michael Owen missed the target. Looks like they've definitely created in the second half. Fulchester, this gave themselves a bit of a mountain to climb. Gazelles continued to create chances, and Fulchester started to create chances. It was a 1-1 second half. The damage was done in the first half. 13 shots on target to 13 shots to 7, 8 to 3 on target. Pretty much flat when it comes to action zones. Gazelles having slightly the better of the possession. So look at how the goals went in. It was a Valgarin on a bit of a mazy run, skipping past Raoul, then putting the ball in the air for Owen, who headed the ball home. Quite a lot more stuff happened really in that first half, and then with a relatively short bar in the first half, and then it's like a bit of magic from Dede going past a few people on the left hand side, and then putting the ball into Raoul, who beat Buffon to the ball. So it looks like Buffon has continued his miserable display. 5 from him. A 5 from Sutton. I do hope that's not the last we see of Chris Sutton, but not the best debut performance.
I fear that it will be the last we see of Sutton, to be honest.
Yeah. Valgarin Yep is solid at the back, despite conceding 3 goals, which kind of highlights Buffon's display. Prutton not being too bad, but he'll want better from Donati, Veron. I think when Veron has a bad game, Fulchester have a bad game, really.
I mean, he is their top man. He's one of the top men in the league. And similar to, I suppose I'd kind of draw comparisons to Fifey's team. If Ronaldinho is playing bad, his top players can't get the chances. And although Fulchester definitely did book their ideas up in that second half, like they did have 6 chances, 3 on target. They definitely did look a lot better. I never, it seemed nervy for a little bit, but Gazelles quickly got that goal back and kind of put any notions that Fulchester might nab a point or anything to bed fairly quickly. And I think, as you just click on to Gazelles, I think very just aesthetically pleasing that their top 3 got a goal. I think we can all agree that's very nice to see. I think Dede, I was praising him during the game, a 9 and an assist. That's the kind of performance Craig will need out of him if he's going to be getting in top 3. Raoul just is a top player, isn't he? Goal and assist, 9, captain's performance. Yeah, and I just think Craig will be absolutely over the moon with that. Yeah. Fulchester are a top side. Craig's beating them 3-1 at home with a really dominant performance. I think he'll be over the moon.
Yeah, Craig continues his run against Fulchester. That's 3 out of 3, and they're not a bad side, are they, Gazelles? When those players turn up, it's a spectacular. Right, what's the other game? It's Northern Burn we head to next, who after a kind of improvement towards the end of last season, they start against the finalist Laddersford, which I think Ian would have hoped for. There's no easy games and all that, but maybe a kinder start. It was a win and a draw for Laddersford last time out. So a quick look at Northern Burn's deals. Ignore the freebies at the bottom. He brought in Stanek from Gazelles in the auction, Fiore Del Piero from Sloths, Cannavaro, the big name from Locomotive Boston in that deal, and also Maxim Tizalco. With losing Kesman, he needed this kind of talisman up front, and he's gone with the champ legend, and no doubt he's going to be putting quite a bit of faith in him. Zambrotta obviously had a torrid season last season for Burn and has kind of left the club now. A quick look at how he lines up tonight with Cannavaro, who he's brought in suspended after he 7 yellow cards for Locomotive last year. Looks solid enough, doesn't it?
He's definitely got plenty of... Yeah, it's a really, really solid team, and he's brought in a lot of big players. It's hard to pick out a bad player in that lineup, really. Fiore, maybe if you're nitpicking, but like he's a lovely technical player. Robin and Henri, you could really see causing problems. Chigalco, again, he's tried to focus on him up top on his own, which I think is the widely accepted theory that that's his best position where you get the most goals. You've got Gennaro Gattuso, who's one of the best in the game. Cosmin Contra, one of the best DMDRs in the game. Udeze's class, Samuel's class, and Taldo's class. So yeah, it's hard to pick a fault with Northern Burns' team, really.
Yeah, and that's the thing, really. I mean, in the past, that's been the same, though, hasn't it? He's always had strong 11s since. Do you mean since the start of season 5? You could argue that he's had a really, really strong team, again at BTEC and at Northern Burn. It's whether he can get them ticking. Now, this to me, again, as I said, Lenny Town last season looks on paper like an absolutely fantastic lineup. I sometimes question the defensive midfielders in centre midfield, but I understand why he's done it. He's obviously let Van Bommel go to kind of strengthen in certain areas and bring Sizalco in. So he's kind of got one attacking midfielder in there rather than the 3 defensive triangle he had last season. I think it's a really strong lineup,
It is, and
I'm rooting for Ian a little bit, and that he hopes he has a good go at it this season. I mean,
I think.
Sorry,
I don't think you'd be the only one that's rooting for him. I think everyone wants to see Northern Burn do well, and everyone almost expects him to do well. You see the team, and it really is star-studded. Like just like Del Piero, I think I saw not even in the squad. Like in my opinion, he's quite a good, like he's a really good player. He could play in that role where Henri is. Like it's a really strong team. Like,
he's got options, hasn't he?
They definitely got options. Alan Smith's really good. He's proved that for Astor in the past. Like Northern Burn,
7 goals last season. 7 goals last season.
So
for
he's
Boston.
there. Yeah, like he's quality. Like Northern Burn should be doing better. Like we should be saying it. They should be doing better, and it's about time they do better.
So let's see what happens. I mean, like I said, it's not the kindest start to the season. Leadersford, who were absolutely flying toward the end of last season, and if we have a quick look at their results, really, do you mean that it was win, draw, win, draw, win, loss in the grand final? That was an absolute sickener for Hodgie, who really got his team flying in the second half of last season. Another one who's been a little bit more timid in the transfer market. I don't think he brought anyone in the auction. Brought in Brugging from Devils, Ambrosini from Hulls, and Maldini. A bit more of it, and also Addo from Boston. A little bit more kind of solidarity, I think, rather than anything. He's not kind of ripping the team apart and starting again. He's lost Uliano and Trezeguet, who didn't really play much. Didn't really play Akuta that much. Soren made the odd appearance, I believe. They had 14 last season, so he is someone he'll have to replace there. But overall, I don't think he's kind of ripped the heart of the team.
Definitely not. I suppose if it ain't broke, no need to fix it. That second half of last year was incredible, and he's just trying to keep that momentum going. Like you say, it's been just solidity, just like adding players where things might be a problem in seasons gone. Eric Addo's a good player. Maldini's really experienced. Brugging just kind of comes in as nice backup. He's got extra Berea who can kind of come in on that right hand side. He's been good, or up top, or in that AMC. Pat Soglu in centre midfield is odd.
Yeah, but he played it towards the end. I mean, I agree with you, and I think I was chatting to this about Macquarie. I mean, everyone was kind of questioning that positioning of him, but you can't really argue. I mean, he didn't start the last season really well, and as soon as he put him into centre midfield on his own, his ratings picked up, and he had a really
without
well.
even doing a massive amount there in the middle, he just seems to be just a bit of a ferryman there, kind of get it and give it and let the better players do the work. But look, got to the grand final last year, barely lost a game in about 15 games. So if he can keep that going into this season and make a much better start, then you'd say he's a shoo-in for the playoffs and favourite for top 2.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I don't think there's going to be too many people disagreeing with you. A couple of interesting things I thought to pick out. Ugo Ekiag had a solid end to last season, really good, and obviously he's been dropped and Maldini's come in. Ambrosini, who he's brought in from Hools, doesn't even make the bench. Diego Simeone, who was rock solid, 7.8 average after he moved from Locomotive to Leddersford, and then he's not. I mean, so a few interesting decisions in team selection there. Whether he,
Yeah, definitely. But when you look at Sarachinsky and Vogel, I mean, just from personal experience, Sarachinsky's been was one of my best players for Churchtown 2 years ago. Like he was up at 7.8 average, but yeah, a little bit lower here. And Vogel can be a top player. He's like almost 8 average last year, so it's not terrible. Definitely not terrible. But yeah, definitely some interesting decisions. Yeah, like it's a strong team. He's got options, and looks maybe he thinks Sarachinsky and Vogel are the men that will get him to 3 points against Northern Burn.
oh, evidently does. Hersey getting a squad number there, and we'll proceed.
Hersey on the left, we probably give a little bit more credit, or maybe it's been given loads of credit, but that's a really smart choice that he made, and I think Hersey did really well there. And yeah, I think he should be given credit because I don't think a lot of players would have the balls to play a 18-year-old or 19-year-old Hersey in that position. 20.
So no, he would have been 19 last season. So yeah, he would have been 19. So
I think credit due for that decision. Be interested to see if he can keep that form up this year.
Interesting indeed. So Duggan, Alfbridge 1-1-1, then Ian Campbell scored draw. El Champino at least giving us a winner with a 2-1, as is Dimble going 2-1. Not many people backing Leddersford so far. What are your thoughts on this one, Kieran?
If Northern Burn get going, then I think they should steamroll Leddersford, which seems bizarre to say considering how last season finished. But because you have to take last season into account, they've obviously got a top manager, so it's hard. I don't want to say Desmond, but it's what's coming to my mind. I'll say 3-3. Big high scoring game, loads of goals, defenders having a bit of an off day.
Well, I kind of, just for entertainment's sake, I hope you're right, but let's kick this off. Steve Wright being the only person backing Leddersford.
A nice nervous last 10 minutes as well.
Well, there's a lot of action in the first 10 minutes with no goals. Like Montella might put one in there, but nothing went into the back of the net. Cizalco involved early on as well for Northern Burn, which will be good to see. But 20 minutes go by and no goal. Robbie Keane hits the ball over. Torres.
Definitely chances.
I've seen a lot of the strikers from Leddersford, which makes me think that they are creating chances. And I was going to say that Montella does put the ball in the back of the net. 29 minutes gone. It'd be good for Hodgie to see his man getting the off the ball so early. But since that goal, it looks like there's been a lot of Northern Burn. Henri putting one over. Cizalco strikes with fury. A lot of pressure without a goal though. And Henri offside. Is this going to be the same old story this first half?
First half, last 5 seasons.
Yeah. There was no. Usually there would be a disallowed goal when it comes to Northern Burn, but that hasn't happened so far. Let's have a look at this, and it's hard to kind of ignore the fact that it looks like Leddersford have had the better of it. 10 shots to 6, 6 to 2 on target. The action zones kind of reflect that as well. It's a lot in the Northern Burn area, despite them having more possession. Let's have a quick look at that goal before we have a look at the teams. And it's Nesta taking a free kick after 29 minutes. Harsh decision there. Apparently, Robin backing into him, but Montella's won the Aero Challenge against Ifeani Udeze, and it's a goal from Montella. Let's start by having a look at Northern Burn, and then he can decide if he wants to make any changes. Do you mean a couple of sixes in there, but not the worst first half performance we've seen tonight?
Definitely not. It seems like his wide men have maybe let him down a bit there. Georgiatos and Contra both coming in with sixes, which is rare enough. I thought I didn't think they were as dominated as the stats seem to suggest there at halftime. But I suppose, he'll be happy enough. Like, looking at the ratings, he'll be happy enough. Gattuso's playing well, Samuel's playing well. Maybe it's more people on the defensive side, so they and Leddersford are putting on a lot of pressure.
Probably conversely.
Your audio cut out for a second there, but I might kind of disagree there. I don't think that Ian will be happy at all. You mean he'll take a little bit of comfort in 8s with Toldo, Gattuso and Samuel, but do you mean he'll be thinking, oh my god, this is happening again, I put the team out, it's a different team, and I'm 1-0 down and had a bit of a dismal performance first half. But do you mean he's made the change at half time, brought Alan Smith on versus Alco, and let's see if that makes any difference. I can still hear
Sorry
you.
about that.
No, sorry, I can still hear you fiddling around with your audio.
My microphone just turning off on me at random times. Apologies. I was just going to say, I almost agree with you now that he will be absolutely raging. Same old story. And then just conversely at Lettisford, probably a bit. We didn't speak about them much, but they were so good last year. Montella and Fernando Torres. Seeing Montella come in again, I think he alluded to it during the commentary. Yeah, seeing his main man get off the mark in the first game, he'll be absolutely chuffed with that. Volodenkov, the only average one there, but he's on a yellow card. Not getting a massive amount of the ball, you would say, considering they've had 10 shots. But look, they're 1-0 away from home against a strong Burn side, and I think they would have taken that at half-time.
Yeah, Hodgie's obviously happy enough, so he's going to go same as. Let's kick off the second half and see what we get to. It looks like it's starting a lot of yellow, and Torres was involved again. Alan Smith is involved for Northern Burn, though. Torres hits it wide. It looks like he seems to be getting involved at every single opportunity, doesn't he? Robbie Keane missing the target. Volodenkov hitting it wide. Looks like a wasteful Lettisford so far. Hopefully that might come back to
Pata Suglu being involved plenty as well. I've seen his name a fair bit.
Yeah, 85 minutes gone now, and that's 90 minutes, and we finished 1-0, and yeah, they've won the second half as well in terms of shots, if not shots on target. Quite wasteful and hitting a lot wide, but you'd hard pressed not to say that Lettisford deserved that victory there.
100%. Yeah, I think they pragmatic, you might say, in the second half, just without being too kind of flashy, probably taking too many risks. It looked like Ian maybe was reduced to taking long shots with the amount on target there, but I think Lettisford 1-0 away, good performance, no sixes or anything like that, a couple of 8s and 9s, very solid start.
Yeah, and he's got a striker on the board as well, and I mean, it looks like the wastefulness was coming from Volodenkov and Robbie Keane. His two strikers, when they've shot, they've been relatively accurate.
I hate when Robbie Keane does well in this game. I fucking hate him in real life. So when I see him do well for Dragons and I see him do well for Lettisford, it just makes me it just makes me fucking hate it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, he's a good player in the game. He isn't in real life.
Yep. Let's have a quick look at the chat there. Ian Ed was saying well played, Hodgie. Scott Sadler alluding to how huge away wins are in the league. Professional from Lettisford, says Duggan. Bit nervy, Hodgie says, but a good game. Champ Megahorse saying a solid opener, but Burn look improved. I mean, 7s across the board and
all 7s. The outfield is when you take off Chigalco. Yeah, it's just that's it. Like, what is it? I don't know, Ian. I'm looking at the formation. I can't criticize it. I like the personnel. I can't criticize it. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Like, do you have attacking turned on? Like, what's going on? I don't know what the solution is, because when I see the lineups go out, like, I'm thinking I'd agree with that. That's probably what I would have done too. And then it's just disappointing performance after disappointing performance. So it's hard to know what the solution is.
Yeah, I mean, I love this formation. It was one I used when I was in the league quite a bit. It's really, I mean, I think it's so balanced, and you've got, really good solid defense and a really solid attack.
And you can fit in kind of DMs in those CM roles. You can bring in a DMC or whatever, like he's done with Gerrard, but also Fiore there, and it doesn't really affect the balance too much. You can you can bring in a lot of players in those. Yeah, I can definitely see the merits for it.
Yeah, you can't slag it off, can you? It's solid, but they've been beaten at home first game of the season. Maybe it's a little bit of a hangover from last year, and Leathersford eager to get back out there after their defeat.
And I mean, Leathersford are beaten finalists, so like they'll have the chip on their shoulder after that golden goal heartbreak. So look, they're probably just on a point proving mission. Look, we're starting this season again strong, and we're in it to win it this year.
Right, I'm going to quickly run through the Hull squad, and then I'll let you talk through yours. So, deals made. He's brought Adani in for big money, and a couple of players in for 500k. DeVio as well came in. In the transfer, he's brought in Nicholas Anelka, obviously ever controversial. Other big names, Rivaldo went to Hull's in the Beckham deal. Van Bommel, a huge transfer from Northern Bern. Palermo and Coco in from Sloths, and Kutuzov in from Leathersford. Zanoni as well. Looking at players he's lost, Ambrosini, Pizarro, Beckham, Tizalco are the four that you kind of jump out to. Your Cordoba, yeah, but he was kind of in and out of the Hull's team. The consensus I kind of hear in the chat is that he's done good business, and looking at his team, I mean, similar to Northern Bern, he's hard to find a flaw there. Really, really solid Asani and Damiano Zanoni. Coco, I'm not a huge fan of, but a lot of people do like him. I think, did you have him at one point, Sam? I think.
Yeah, I had him for Churchtown, and he annoyingly, after like getting 7.8 averages or something like that, got very unhappy, very disruptive, and I kind of just froze him out of the team then, or froze him out / still played him anyways, which was annoying because he was playing really well. Yeah, like you say, it's quality across the board. It's like Rivaldo weirdly seems like the only weakness in that team.
Yeah, he didn't have a bad season. I mean, 7.15. Not terrible when you compare it to.
Ryan, he did have a bad season. That's not a good season.
Okay.
Come on.
Van Bommel definitely did have a bad season because, I mean, considering how much quality he has in it, Northern Bern, he really underperformed. That's probably one of the reasons it's convinced Ian to let him go.
It's some incredible depth that he has. Just looking at the bench as well. Liv Varane on the bench, and Anelka on the bench.
Yeah, and
yeah,
the rule change there means, I mean, kind of talking about the people who got versatility really. If a defender gets injured, he can drop NDI back. Do you mean that's the kind of the difference that in it this season really is that you don't have to be as restrictive in who you put on your bench to have to put a defender there. I mean, but yeah, completely. It's a really solid team. I'm not a huge fan, if you've got a single centre midfielder making that defensive one. But I can see when it being Van Bommel, he's not really that defensive when you look at his stats. It's just the fact that it's just the game making him a DM. Van Nistelrooy, obviously, so key to this team, and he's brought Anelka in to kind of plug the gap which has been left by Tizalco. It'll be interesting to see how much game time he gets, and if he doesn't get game time, how he behaves.
And even just seeing on the squad, seeing Sebastian Mendes there on the bench, like he is depth for days in that squad.
Yeah, I remember, but he's got a point to prove this season after missing out in the playoffs on the final day.
Yeah, he had a really bad start to last year, if I remember correctly. But then second half, he was kind of or in the middle third, maybe he was one of the strongest. So a bit of an up and down season, but yeah, look at arguably the strongest squad in the game.
So quick look at what you guys have done. Yakubu in at the end of last season, Pinardi in for big money in the auction. Kaladza, Totti, Elba, Oliveira, Davis and Vasiliuk. Definitely no slouches, probably Oliveira the lesser known one amongst them, but I mean definitely big names. You kind of sacrificed Aymar, Donati. I think you've done good business overall. I mean, a lot of people questioned the Emerson one, didn't they? But since then, oh my God, that was way back there. I had to release a few players who were in the reserves and causing havoc. I think from my point of view, you've done relatively good business. Not have the best kind of history against fools, and then you've gone with this Great Wall of Parma 5 across the DM. Do you want to talk us through it, mate?
Yeah, I think we needed a slight bit. Sorry, go again there, man.
I was letting you go ahead, mate, and then your microphone cut out a little bit.
Apologies. So yeah, I mean, what we really try to do in the mid-season is just beef up our midfield. I think we really struggled in a lot of games last year to create chances. So bringing in Totti was a really great deal to do. It did involve sacrificing our top scorer, Tomadira, but from what we've brought in and from what we have at the team, we do still believe there are goals in this team. Yakubu is a bit of a deal that I think a couple of people laughed at, but from what I've seen him in the game, I think he can be a really solid rock at the back. I think Sean Davis is a really tidy player to knit things together. I think Kaladze, he's a proven winner. He's coming from winning the championship at Locomotive. Ashley Cole, I think, did okay for us. Zanetti was immense, and my two centre backs were immense. So what I tried to do is just keep the strong, not spine in this case, but to keep the strong wings and bring in a new spine. So let's see how we get on today. But yeah, after seeing the strength of Jens's team, I think a point would actually be a good result after this. But we'll go for 3, and if we get 3, we certainly won't be surprised.
Yeah, obviously you backing yourself then in the prediction. You think you're going to get the job done?
Yeah, look, I'll be happy with a draw, but I think we'll win this 2-1.
2-1. Let's wait for a couple of predictions in the chat and the kick off. Gotta love the 5 DMs, says Mr. Campbell. A Tato, I think he must have a thing. Champ Mega Horse Dan going 2-0 to Churchtown, as is Dimble. So a lot of love there from the first bit. A couple of predictions.
Nice to hear a bit of faith in the men.
Wondering if Jens is still up. It's midnight now in Norway. El Champino are going for Vikings. Dimble going 2-0. Would going draw, as is Steve Wright 2-2. I'm going to kick this off and then we can everyone can see the predictions coming in the chat. So let's see what happens. A lot of black and white at the early start, but Basile coming up, I believe, having the first shot of the game. Van Nistelrooy curling one just wide. And do you mean that man Ashley Cole went under the radar and has got the first goal from the penalty spot? How many penalties did he score last season? Again, I mean the stuff, and Francesco Coco coming back to haunt his old club after he angry at you last time. Obviously not your biggest fan, and shoving one in your face there. 42 minutes gone, and unfortunately Lillian
another pass player.
It must be a bit of a sickener. It does look like pools have come into this more and more as the game's gone on. Yeah, I thought you started really strong, Kieran, and do you mean, but looking at that first at end of half time, they've had slightly the better of it, 5 shots on target to 3. Action zone's definitely been a lot in your area despite you having more possession. Coco backed in and fouled Santa Cruz for the first goal. Ashley Cole, elected penalty taker and scoring again as he's done many times last season. Nicky Franco finds Coco, who got clean through on goal and blasted in the top corner. And then we've got Lilian Thuram, who's been set up by Van Nistelrooy for their goal. Let's look at Hull's first, because I might get the instantaneous sub from yourself. A couple of players he's brought in underperformed, Van Bommel on a 6 and Rivaldo. But do you mean Van Nistelrooy, fantastic with the assists there, 2 key passes. 1 key pass. Ricky Franco with 3 key passes and getting a 7. It's really solid across the board. Apart if you take out those 2 players, Campbell and Thuram, really good. Sanyol, who was sparsely used last season, I believe, 11 games, having a good first half, and Coco really coming out of nowhere and kind of proving why he should have been starting for Sloths. Well, maybe not starting ahead of Zé Roberto. Let's have a quick look, and Jens is staying as is, obviously happy with that first half performance. I'm not too surprised there. Kieran, what's going right, what's going wrong, and what changes do you want to make?
Jesus, not great seeing Zanetti on a 6. Not something that we see a lot of weeks. My hope for Yakubu obviously wasn't great. Let's do 2. Let's bring in Elber for Vasiliuk and Pawe for Yakubu, please.
Elber for Vasiliuk and Pawe for Yakubu. You're the first manager to make 2 substitutions. I mean, it's an added risk really if you do get an injury, but we can flick things around. Obviously, Oliveira's still there as well. You fancy your boys to get back into it?
I think we are definitely still there. I think Jens had a really solid defensive performance. So if his boys can get a little bit tired in the second half, but look, we know we're up against it, so we'll try our best and see if we can pull a draw. But not confident, I'd say, but hopeful.
Okay, let's kick off the second half, and unfortunately, it looks like more black and white efforts. Van Bommel and Van Nistelrooy. Oh, saw that the flag staying down there's. Santa Cruz got through, but unfortunately Van Bommel goes back up the other end and gets the goal to make it 3-1. Huls look really strong, Huls, if I do say so. It's Santa Cruz having an effort there again. It looks like he's heavily involved for you guys. 15 minutes to go, and Van Bommel kind of puts the nail in the coffin there to make it 4-1. It looks like a really strong Huls performance. I don't think you guys have played too bad. Totti having an effort there, putting in an effort from Costanzo, and that's the final whistle. I don't think there's any shame in that performance, Kieran. You've come up against a really good side tonight, who've been quite clinical in front of goal. 10 shots on target to 7. Obviously, possession relatively flat, 30%. In your area, so you'd say that Huls have had slightly better of the action zones. Van Nistelrooy effort pushed away by Van Bommel. You kind of hope that Lehmann can hang on to them. Van Bommel puts away the rebound. Nicky Franco puts a cross in near post, and Van Bommel got free. I'll kind of have a quick look at Jens' performance, and apart from Rivaldo, that is pretty much flawless. Sol Campbell is maybe surprisingly getting man of the match. Key passes from Nicky Franco, 4. 2 goals from Van Bommel, who had a relatively quiet first half. Pulls him up to a 9, 8s across the board. Do you mean an assist from Van Nistelrooy? Sol Campbell, 9 key tackles, obviously proving that he is doing a job defensively for them guys. So you guys must have been creating something. Jens will be, I think he'll be jumping around the room at the moment at that performance, and it's a great start for this season. Anything you can take away from that game, Kieran?
I think the amount of chances we created is definitely a takeaway. 8 shots with 7 on target is a lot better than we were doing last year. So I think we can take that away. Kaladze has had a good start. Totti,
we lost Kieran briefly, so I'll just say Totti's had a. Do you mean he's been involved a lot, but only 2 key passes? You mean assists coming from Santa Cruz? He looked like he had a relatively solid game, got all his shots on target. Only won 1 of his 5 headers though, which is unfortunate. Tyree Acheron seemed relatively solid despite conceding 4 goals. If you are back, Kieran, give us a nudge. New signings for Siliuk and Yakubu only getting 6s, and Elba not doing much better off the bench, which is unfortunate. I don't know if Kieran can hear me, and if we are going to get him back, hopefully we can. I'm looking a quick look at the chat. So we've got sounds like you're having a cry wank, Kieran. Looks like Kieran's gone. He looks like he's just thought fuck that. You know what I mean? Not talking to us after a 4-1 defeat. That's fair enough. El Champino said I don't think the luck had anything to do with it, Jens. That was brutal. Jens saying thanks for the statement. Big statement victory from Huls. Good evening, Kieran.
Sorry. How are you? Lost you there.
No worries, I'll try and reshare my screen. We thought you'd just kind of thrown your toys out the pram there.
No. I was actually just singing our team's praises a little bit. Apologies, gents. I was just, I don't know how much you heard, how much you didn't, but I think a bit of progress. 8 chances, 7 on target. I think we actually created a bit. We were actually quite clinical. Totti and quite well.
Our defenders weren't too bad considering we conceded 4 goals. I think we were just up against a better team today. And I think we caught them on a good day and us on a not bad day, but not top level day. So in this league, coming up against that, you're going to lose 4-1. But look, it's not a terrible performance. Even though Lehman conceded 4, he still came up with a 7. So I think the better team won, and congratulations to Jens.
Very nice, Kieran. It's thought I'd highlight a couple of comments from Ian Campbell in the chat, saying that you're a wee bit naive in your setup and that you've done the equivalent of storming out the studio. What is likened you to Preston from the Ordinary Boys? That you just kind of that's why you logged off. Then I mean it was nothing to do with a connection thing. It was
I fucking wish I had it. Couldn't have bothered calling back. Well. Yeah, fair play, lads. Yeah, it feels like a bit like I want to do that, but no. We'll stay impartial and review the games.
Yeah, after a couple of draws early on in the evening, we end up having 5 teams pick up victories. The 2 away victories from Hulls and Leddersford seemed the kind of impressive one, although Gazelles were very impressive at home. I mean, if you won your game, you were impressive. If you lost, you've got something to work on. Anything apart from your own games that any of those that kind of took your eye as a really good performance for a team? Anything that kind of surprised you?
I think Dragons away to Bostock Stanley is surprising result more than anything else, especially after that first half. They just completely turned it around. Gazelle's really strong against Fulchester. They'll be delighted with that, and Maka will just have to have a rethink on that, although he did have his injury issues. Haggis Slots, interesting, like 1-1. Like the pair of them will be really looking to kick on after frustrating campaigns last year, and yeah, I think Haji will be delighted with that win against Northern Burn. I think 1-0 away from home against a strong team. Yeah, just really good. So yeah, some really interesting results from like seeing Dragons and Gazelles kind of do it against last season's playoff contenders. Definitely seems to imply that transfer business has gone their way.
It does indeed. I'm going to quickly glance at the fixtures for next week. Churchtown have got Fulchester. Is that something? I mean, is the Fulchester performance this evening giving you a bit of hope for that one? Do you mean both teams starting with a defeat?
Yeah, I think Chris Sutton was unfortunate in the first game. I'd definitely be giving him a chance in that second game to come back into it. Yeah, look, I actually, funnily enough, I'll probably live to regret these words, but I do feel confident against Fulchester. I don't think their squad on paper seems that strong. I know a couple of those DMs will come back, but I think definitely up top they're not as strong as, for example, Hulls were. So I think our defenders hopefully should have a better day, and our attack hopefully can put a few more in the back of the net. So yeah, I feel a bit more confident than I did against Hulls.
Yep. I'm going on tonight's performance. Gazelles versus Devils should be kind of the battle of the Galactico teams there. It should be a really good one.
Yeah, it should be good.
I mean, Hodgie might not be as confident as he would have been with his second away game at the fact that he's got Hulls away after that performance.
I think Hulls will be dying. If Hulls can get a big win there, that's a real statement down to the league that they can beat kind of us shite bags, but then go to Leddersford, last year's finalist, and if they put a win down there, then everyone will be fearing the Hulls, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the stage in the season where they're all interesting games at the moment. People are kind of looking for it to get off to a flying start, but we kind of know that nothing's really decided until you're about 10 games in and you can start making sense of the table a little bit. But
I think Northern Burn Dragons, if it ends up being a Northern Burn win, just confirms that Burn and Dragons are in the exact same spot as they were last year.
Does it? I mean, Dragons big victory tonight.
But if Northern Burn win, then they're both just inconsistent teams.
Fair enough. Yeah. And Bostock obviously looking to bounce back at home to Sloths. Sloths didn't look too bad at Haggis tonight. And Dudley.
No, it'll be interesting to see how they can come back. If they can get a tune out of David Collins, which they easily could, then like you say, at this stage of the season, every game's interesting. People are finding out their best teams after a busy transfer window. Should be a really interesting second week.
see what lessons we can learn after the first round of matches.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into the stats because it's a bit pointless at this point. So thank you for everyone for joining in the chat. Thank you for all your kind words at the end there. And Kieran, thank you so much for joining us. Really great to have you on comms. Do you mean as good as Jamie Hopkins? I think as good. I mean, I'm not going to say better, but I'm going to say in that bracket, mate. But yeah, really appreciate you coming on. Gets us to a really good start. Unfortunate.
No, that's really kind words. Thanks very much for having us on.
Yeah, unfortunate about the results, but I'm sure you'll be back. You've laid down your comments that you need to be in the top 6 this season. So let's see how you go.
Definitely, that hasn't changed. 100%.
Right. Thank you very much, lads. Thank you very much, Kieran. And
Thanks for listening, guys.
I think Martin is going to put a show on Sunday, so I shall see you then.
Perfect. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, everyone. Good luck.
Good luck.